Good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me this morning. My name is Janine McGowan, and I design cross stitch as the blue flower. I hope your day is off to a great start. I know mine is. We've had our walk with the dogs and looked at the garden, and now I'm just settled in to talk to you, so it doesn't get better. All right, moving right into what I'm stitching. I've made a lot of progress on the Greyhounds piece that I'm working on, and it's over halfway done, which is especially great because I've had to take time off the last couple of weeks to work on models. So I'm really like, this might even be done by the next video, maybe not. I have to pack a lot of charts for new releases, but it's possible. And certainly I think by the end of August, this will be finished in time to select something new. So it's been such a fun stitch. I'm really enjoying it, and it's been a treat to work on. All right, stash spotlight. Now, I didn't show everything from our traditional stitches visit last video, so this time I'm wrapping up with the fabric. Now, we were lucky enough to get there right after they'd received a selection of fabric from Fox and Rabbit. Yay! And so I did buy a lot of fabric, which is what I intended to do because we don't have a local shop here where I live. The chance to look at fabric in person for me is a big deal. So I took full advantage. And I'm not going to list everyone, I'll put the details in the notes, but I got a lovely group of colors from Fabrics by Stephanie, and I especially like this sort of purpley blue one on the bottom. Isn't that fun? And then I got some beautiful neutral Fox and Rabbit colors, nice soft purples and gray colors. Lovely, lovely. I picked up some ones by Tabby Cat, which are a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to these, including this super funky one on top. Again, it's always hard to show fabric, but such fun colors. And then I absolutely gave in to my Lakeside linens addiction because it can be hard to find. And so when I find it, I tend to snag it and hang on like a little limpet. Barnacle. I'm a linen barnacle. All right, got these fun ones, including, and this is going to be really hard to see, but let's see if I can show on the back here. I got a very dark navy and a black, so which worked out perfectly because, and when we had visited Jeanette Douglas, she had this beautiful little spool meant to hold scissors, and it was made out of all of these inlaid woods, and we had admired it, and she said, oh, I got that locally at this shop over in Cochrane. So we did our traditional stitches visit, and then we also fit in a visit to the Stitching Corner in Cochrane and got these beautiful little handmade by a local man scissor spools meant to hold it. They've got the little, magnet for your needle, and just a really pretty piece of work. So I look forward to having that. And he doesn't sell them anywhere except that store. It's kind of a hobby for him. So if you want one, you'll need to contact them directly, and I'll put that information in the notes. Now, while we were there, of course, we did some shopping as well and got lots of fun stuff. Totally different selection from traditional stitches, which is nice. I think every needlework shop kind of has their own vibe, and it's nice to see. So first off, of course, a greyhound. I got this long dog samplers. See if you can see right in the middle there. They look a little sad. I might see if I can tweak the verse a little bit just to see, but it's got greyhounds, it's got cats, it's got squirrels, all sorts of fun stuff there. More squirrels next to the seahorses, because why not? So that one's fun. This one, Partridge Christmas. Isn't that cute? And it was actually really interesting because I had just designed a set of postcards, which you won't have seen yet, but then to see this little postcard with the Merry Christmas and the tiny little partridge in the corner, that was super fun. Now, this is one I've seen Sue Coleman designs before, and I just have never found one to pick up for myself. And here is the one that I chose. They had a whole selection. I love the way she's done the more direct imitation of the loons up above, and then the First Nations kind of stylized version down below. Even, what a little baby, he's got his own little reflection. Isn't that beautiful? So, not this year, because it's not a greyhound, although if she ever did a greyhound, I would be on it. but in the future, that's for sure happening. Now, they also had these bins of old leisure arts magazines, and these were all for charity. So, for $1 or $2, you could pick through and pick up a magazine, and I got this one right away because of the green Santa. I've probably mentioned before, I am a sucker for Santas that are not wearing red, and green is my favorite. So it was a real treat. It's not very big at all in here, but also you can see in the magazine they stitched it on this beautiful black fabric. And since I had just picked up some beautiful black fabric from Lakeside, I am all set. So I'll have to see which one of those versions I'm going to go ahead and stitch up once the greyhounds are finished. So that's my stash spotlight. Lots of fun. I'll put the info for everything in the notes. And now on to the world around. This is another one from the Canada trip when we were driving from Calgary out to Drumheller to see the Dinosaur Museum. We were in open grass, well, mostly farmland probably, but sort of grassland territory. And you had to watch because the prairie dogs would come up to the edge of the road and want to cross. And so you needed to kind of keep an eye out for them. It reminded me a lot of a place I lived for a while in Montana when I was younger. We had the prairie dogs there as well. So it really brought that back to me, and I thought I would actually learn about them. And they're amazing. Prairie dogs live in very large colonies, although the number that's left is just a fraction of what they used to be. Used to be literally hundreds of millions of prairie dogs in the West. The colonies would stretch for miles and miles, and so much of that has been lost due to habitat loss. It's just a tiny 2 to 5% remain of what was once there. But they're pretty impressive animals. They're very social animals. Obviously, they live in these huge organized groups, and within the groups, they live in smaller family groupings. The males, I learned, will move from group to group throughout their life, but the females will bond and stay in the group together for their whole lives. So I really liked that image of women forming friendships that last forever. I think, that was really cool. They have these burrows where they live underground, so you can just see a prairie dog colony from the little entrance and exit mounds on the front, but all of the life is underground. And these burrows provide important habitat for lots of other animals as well. So prairie dogs are really a keystone species. They feed lots of animals, like a black-footed ferret, but also provide habitat for dozens of others. Up to 130 species rely on the prairie dog in some way, which I thought was very interesting. They have a very complex language. So one example I read is that they are not just communicating a human is approaching, they're communicating a tall human with a blue shirt is approaching, which I thought was very interesting. And they will have the ones on guard who stand on the top of the mound and peer around and alert the colony of what's happening. They are vegetarian, they eat plants, but in addition to eating plants, they also trim, they mow their lawn. They trim the vegetation around their burrows so that they can get a better line of sight and see what's happening so that they can communicate. That trimmed vegetation becomes denser and more nutrient rich, which then makes it better for animals who graze, such as bison or elk, things like that. So again, so much intermeshed habitat issue. They're very tough, apparently. Very tough. They have strong teeth. They're rodents, members of the squirrel family, and they have strong teeth, strong claws. Yeah, they're pretty impressive. Oh, this is a fun one. They have a very short mating season. Apparently, for 1 hour a year, you get lucky, and that's it until next year. So that's I would have thought of them as more like rabbits, but nope, not at all. Once a year, 1 hour, that's all you get. Apart from habitat loss, which is their main challenge, they are also ravaged by the Black Death, which is interesting. I know it still exists, but I tend not to think of it as current, and yet it was brought over to America on European ships, and like so many other things, hits a population that's not used to it, and so that's a real problem for the prairie dogs. But of course, the biggest problem is habitat loss, and because they are so important to so many other species, their habitat loss has a cascading effect on a lot of other things. So there you go. prairie dogs. Very interesting. Try not to squish them on the highway if you can avoid it. All right. Last video, I asked what was an animal you wanted to see, and I had lots of fun suggestions. I want to see all of them too, so I'll need to make a list. Question for this video is, what are you doing this weekend? I have a pretty calm weekend planned. I need to pack charts, but I've been working pretty hard the last couple weeks, so it's time for just some simple repetitive tasks, and packing charts is exactly that. So I can listen to my audiobook and put charts into their bags, and it'll be nice and soothing for me. So I hope you are up to something that's appropriate to what you need as well this weekend. Best thing. Last weekend we cleared out the garden, and it's really nice. I'm not a very good gardener. I'm still learning a lot, and so it's a nice break when we clear for fall planting. Anything that didn't make it through the heat wave, anything that was in the wrong spot or didn't really do well here, anything that really struggled with bugs or got completely overgrown and crowded, we get to take out, reset, and plant again for fall. So we've got lots of new seeds in there. It's very satisfying to have okay, we're going to leave those failures behind, take the lessons, and move forward. And that's what we did. Plus, it means I don't have to do any weeding this week because I did it all last week, which I enjoy. All right, giveaway. Last video was this lovely wild rose sampler from the Calgary trip. And the winner of this is Patricia Carrier. So Patricia, send me your information and I will get this in the mail to you. Now you may have noticed that I did not do a stitching in action this time. I have one, but I'm going to hold off on it, and I wanted to make sure I don't forget. So the giveaway this time, and what reminded me, I have 3 new releases coming out. You may have seen in the newsletter, and I'll post them on Instagram later. But as per usual, 3 new releases, 3 winners. So if you use the word new in your comments, I'm not feeling very creative this morning. New is the word. I will pick 3 winners, and you can have any one of my charts, which leads me then to new releases. The first one that I'm going to show is called Autumn Bee. It's a little squishy here, but I'll probably put in the photo so you can get a better look from my squishy pillow. But I designed this for the Silver Needle, and that actually is the reason for the stitching in action, because I was torn between 2 different fabrics for this model, and I put the model on this purple fabric, but I also liked this light green fabric, and it turns out that Charlotte has just finished this one on the light green fabric. So Charlotte, here's her photo from her stitching in action, and I love the way it looks on both of them. I still couldn't really pick one or the other. So this one is going to be in shops shipping out after next weekend, and you can pick up your very own copy from your local or online shop. Next one that's coming out, Forest Home. This is one that I did for the Acorns and Threads retreat initially, so this one is now generally available. And I'll put the photo again in as well, because it's always hard to get a good picture on the camera screen. But yeah, this one I hope you enjoy. It was a real labor of love for me to make it feel like being in the woods, and I love some of the details in particular. I'm bringing it back here so I can show you. We've got the beaver eating the tree. I love the porcupine in the tree. I love the mountains and all the different animals that live in the woods. I love the waterfall, all of it. So that one is available. Then last, I have a set of smalls, the Spooky Autumn Smalls. And these are just some fun, quick little stitches, sort of meant to be on theme since we're moving straight into fall. We've got a little moth here, a little bat, because you know I love bats. We've got a pumpkin-eating raccoon with all the various jack-o'-lanterns. And again, I'm putting the picture in because it's hard to see on the camera. This is probably my favorite, the cats in socks with their little hats and their stripy socks. And then I did one little biscornu. It's a spider web design, and there's a spider on the edge showing it. We get little ghosts here. Quick and easy stitches for you if you need to fill a little bowl of autumn themed or Halloween themed things. There you go. Now that's it for me. I'm off to fold charts for the rest of the weekend. We've got a puppy video coming up, and I just really hope you have a lovely rest of your weekend. I'd love to hear from you what you're up to, and I hope you have a great day. Thanks for joining me.